If God is all powerful and supposedly loving, why does he allow evil to exist? If he loves us, why is he allowing these bad things to happen to us? Why doesn't he just make it go away? Good morning, everyone. I'm Destiny Dawn, and this is the Destiny Dawn Show. Today, we're asking the question, if God is so good, why is the world so bad? If God is all powerful and supposedly loving, why does he allow evil to exist? Why doesn't he just make it go away? If he loves us, why is he allowing these bad things to happen to us? Even those who are trying to do good and trying to do the right thing. It does seem like an important question to ask. Some people have asked if God could make a rock too heavy for him to lift. Well, this is called the cosmic conflict, or the war behind the wars. It's called the great controversy between good and evil, Christ and Satan, Christ and the enemy. Satan means Satan, or enemy, and devil means slanderer, someone who tells lies about another person, which is what the enemy has done to the Creator, God. So I want us to take a look at the very beginning, which was before Earth was created and before human beings were created, so that we can get a bigger picture of what is really going on. The reason that God did not completely eradicate sin and evil and wrongdoing when it very first appeared is because of this one thing, and that is the freedom of choice, free will. When God decided to create human beings, he decided that he would not create them as robots, but he would create them with free will. Because what good is a robot if you're desiring love? If you want true love, then they have to have freedom of choice, or it's not really love. If all they can ever tell you is yes, then they are simply a robot without their own freedom to say no. So the very fact that no is an option, no, I choose not to love you, means that true love exists. I do at the altar whenever people are getting married only matters if I don't is an option. If you hold a gun to someone's head and you say, marry me or love me, and they say yes, do you really believe that they love you? Or do you believe they're being threatened and coerced into saying yes? So when our Creator created us, he wanted a real, meaningful, true relationship. And in order to get that, he had to take a risk that the creatures that he created would not love him back. In order to have free will, you have to take that risk that that person, if you're not going to control them, you have to let them make their own choices and go the way that they want to go. And so in order to have that relationship with human beings, our Creator decided that he had to take a risk that some of the people that he created would not love him back. And thus we have what is called evil and sin in this world. Now, where did it originate from? Well, I can tell you the story of where it first showed its ugly head, but we really can't give a specific origin from where it came from, because if we give an origin to where sin came from, then we sort of excuse its existence. There is no cause for sin. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. It just is a mysterious thing that happened. Because you see, back in heaven, there was a perfect home. There was a perfect environment. There was a perfect government. There was love and joy and peace and all those good things that we hope for. There was a perfect loving father, a loving creator. So a perfect home with the perfect parent. And yet, still evil and wrongdoing found its way. And it started out through one angel. And interestingly enough, this angel was the most beautiful and the most wise of all the angels, and he was put right next to the throne of God. He was put right next to the law, if you will, and one of his jobs was actually to protect the law. So you could, in a sense, say that he was a lawyer or a judge in a way. I mean, he was set in place to protect this law of the government of governing of heaven, of the universe, and of heaven. And so the very thing that he was closest to and that he was supposed to protect, he found within himself a sense of wanting to destroy it, to go against it. And we don't know why. That's why you can never say why anyone does the things that they do. If I see someone doing something wrong, like harming little children, I can definitely say what they are doing is wrong because I know in my heart that that's wrong. It feels wrong. The Word of God says that it's wrong. So I can say that the action and the deed that they are doing is wrong, but I can never really tell them why. I can't, it's not my place to judge why that person is doing what they're doing. There could be a whole host of reasons why they're doing it. And a lot of times it's because they're hurting too. Hurt people. So I don't want to ever judge anyone as to the motive, as to why they're doing these evil acts. And I don't ever want to judge where they will end up because only God knows that. But I can say that to hurt a little child is wrong. I can say that I can judge that. We do it all the time. That's how we put people away in prison and give them punishment for it. So I can judge the deed, but we're not going to judge the motive. This angel, his name was Lucifer, and he had an eye problem. He was proud, and he was only had two places above himself. Those were the Father and the Son. Those were the only two people that were above him. He had everything. He had everything he ever needed, but he wanted more. He wasn't content. His heart wasn't content with what he had. And so he wanted to rise above higher and higher and higher. And so he began to spread lies about the Father, saying that his government was not just and that, that he was evil and that he really only wanted to be a tyrant and dictate everything, that he just wanted to just make people do what he wanted them to do, and he wouldn't love them if they didn't, and he wouldn't be happy if he wasn't controlling people. So in essence, Lucifer said that the Father was manipulating and controlling. And so he spread these lies to the rest of heaven, and a third of the other angels believed him and followed him. And after much discussion, and after very patient waiting, and the war, which was a discussion, a war not of fists or of weapons, but a war of the minds, a battle of the mind, a battle over a disagreement. And there was no longer any room found for them to be in that environment, so they were kicked out. They were evicted, and they were sent to the earth, and that's why we have sin to deal with. But the reason that it exists is because of freedom of choice. If God had immediately destroyed Lucifer when he began to do wrong and to sin. Then the other angels would be serving him out of fear instead of out of love. And God doesn't want anyone to serve him out of fear, but out of love. And also, it would actually prove the very thing that Lucifer was accusing the Father of, is that he's just a tyrant and he wants his way. And if you don't do what he asks, he's just going to kill you. It would have proved Lucifer right if God had immediately destroyed him. So while, God is in this predicament, whereas if he destroys Lucifer and gets rid of this awful sin that he knows is bad, he's going to run the risk that he's going to be seen as a controlling tyrant who doesn't allow freedom of choice. Yet if he's allowing it to happen, it looks like he's an uncaring, unloving God who is allowing these bad things to happen. You can't have both. So yes, God limits himself, and a lot of people don't believe that because they've believed the lie that God just wants his way at any cost. And that's not true, or evil wouldn't be here. If God really had his way, he would not want evil to be here. He would not want it to exist. There are certain rules of engagement. God puts limits on himself. He can only do certain things, and the enemy can only do certain things. God is always working for the good. He's always trying to use everything that happens, the good and the bad, for good. So even though he has to allow evil to exist, he uses those things for good. He moves in such a way, he acts in such a way to use those bad experiences, that fire, that trial by fire, to shape us and mold us and change us and transform us in ways that we would have never tried to be before. So we have to learn to welcome these trials and this fire into our life, because it is how the pot, the clay pot, gets fashioned and shaped, or the metal gets heated up and it gets shaped and formed into an instrument and a tool that can be used for good. All things work together for the good of those who love God. And so let your trials and tribulations be used for good. Sometimes, for instance, the woman who has been beaten by her husband, she learns compassion for others. She learns how to help other people who are going through the same thing, and how to show them the warning signs that to help other people not go through those things that she went through. There is good that comes out of the bad. It may not seem like it, and it may seem like, why is God allowing this to happen to me? But believe and have faith and trust that it is all going to work for your good. Sometimes we have to trust. And if you know someone well enough, they don't have to explain everything to you. You just trust them. There are times when you do need explanations, but there's times when, if you know someone well enough, you know that you just have to trust them, because you know who they are, you know their character, you've seen how they've acted before. And like a little child whose father is in the swimming pool and he's asking the child to jump to him, and the child's scared, but he trusts his daddy, so he jumps even though he doesn't know where he's going to land. He doesn't know. He trusts that he'll catch him. He trusts that his father will catch him. And even if the father lets him jump into the water and start swimming for a little while, he's going to pick him up before it's too late. So we just have to trust the Father. When that bad thing happened to you and you ask, where was God? He was right there with you. He saw it all, and he's hurting too. But he's going to use it. He's going to show you that you are strong with him. He's going to strengthen you and show you that you made it through that, so you can make it through other things, that you're still here. You're still here to live to tell about it. That is strength. So welcome it. Welcome the trials. Welcome the pain. Thank you for the pain. Thank you for the pain because it's making me a stronger person and taking me to places I would have never been before and helping people I would have never even thought about. One day, God is going to set everything straight. Rights are going to be made right. Wrongs are going to be made wrong. Everything that's hidden in darkness is going to be brought to light. That's what the judgment is about. Doesn't everyone want the record to be set straight? Doesn't everyone want the secret deeds of darkness to be brought out into the light and have people who have done wrong pay for it? Well, that's what the judgment is. So if we set our hearts right here on earth before we die, we have no fear of the judgment at all. But if we haven't, we have much to fear. So I encourage you to set your heart right while there's time, while you're still alive on this earth, because we never know when our last day is. But there will be a judgment coming. And not only in the judgment, but before the judgment, people do suffer the consequences. It is just inevitable. It's a law. If you jump off a cliff, gravity is going to be there to take you down. So it may not seem like it, but there's always a consequence. There's always a reaping of what you sow. So if you've been wronged, it will be set straight in this life and in the life to come. So if you're going through a difficult time, just know that God is there walking with you. Look to Him. He will make a way to escape it. He will make it to where you're not consumed. You'll feel the pain, but you won't be consumed by it, but only whenever you are trusting in His care. So when you ask, why me? I heard someone say in a book once, why not me? Just ask, why not me? And plus, God's going to do something good with it. I promise you. If you like this type of video, please comment and let me know that it was helpful, or let me know what kind of topics you would like for me to discuss. But I thought this was appropriate because it goes along with my book, as I have suffered at the hands of betrayal and a lot of hurt and a lot of cruel hatred, and you wonder why these things happen to us. I hope this video was helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.